Hope you had a good day. We just finished the workshop on the power of stories and storytelling, business storytelling, and I'm going to run you basically through what we covered today. And in case you have any further questions, we will take them live. We started with the point that why do we favor stories above other forms of narrative? Why do we care for stories so much more than other forms of techniques of representation? And one of the responses, as anticipated, that came was that stories give us a sense of a start, and stories give us a sense of a closure. In fact, it was one of the respondents said that they have a beginning, they have a middle, and they have an end. Now, this is a exact re-echo of what Aristotle said about the art of rhetoric some 2,500 years back. And that was the first book written, manuscript written on the power of narrative. How do you create a very powerful rhetoric which is unforgettable? How do you capture the mind of the audience? Stories are able to do that because they give us an entry point into an idea and a worldview, and they also give us a closure about outcome and how things are going to be like, or how things are, whether they're going to meet our expectations or not meet our expectations. They give us a clear sense of ending. That is what we like in stories. Now, the question is, what is a story, right? What is a story? Now, the story is a message or messages which unfold through a series of events which we call plot. Now, if you think about the anatomy, the fundamental anatomy of a story, the kind of the must-haves, what our expectations build up to have, whether we are reading a novel or short story or watching a movie, some of these anatomical structure which a lot of plots have is, first, there should be a lead character. There should be a lead entity. It can be a company. It can be a hero. It can be a heroine. So we have to focus on a lead character of a story. And thereafter, it points to there is a problem. Now, there is a way the problem unfolds. There must be some kind of an answer to the problem. And then what is the final outcome? So this is the fundamental building block of a story, which, every kind of narrative. So these are some of the 4 guides that innumerable plots use. If you now start thinking about Star Wars as a story, so what's the lead character or characters? On the one hand, you have the Jedis led by Luke, and on the other hand, you have the dark side of the Force led by Darth Vader. And these are characterized, both have their ambitions. So in every message, there is an ambition. In every story, there's an ambition. What is that ambition? The ambition is to reach out. The ambition is to reach out in a way so that you do not forget what I am about to tell you. Whether it is the Mahabharata, whether it is any kind of a story, that I am now about to tell you something which you will remember. You will not forget, right? So that's the first ambition. Now, in order to realize that ambition, obviously it's not an easy idea. So there are factors, there are problems, there are challenges which come in the way. The question is how you answer or respond to those challenges, right? Now, finally, also, a story is simply not reducible to a particular only one idea. There are multiple strands of ideas you can get out of a lead idea. And this is as much true of a cinema. Say Dangal as a cinema, it caters to a particular kind of a message. In fact, it broke all kinds of box office. Not just because the power of the message, that equal opportunity given to anyone of any gender, you can reach a certain outcome, you can realize a dream. But stories are not about what is being told, but it is also about how it is being told, right? If you recall Sholay, which one of the participants I think brilliantly pointed out, that you remember how come you remember as much Amitabh Bachchan as the main hero of the story, as much as Gabbar Singh, he was really a much reviled character, but some of the dialogues or some of the things that has become stuff of legend that Gabbar delivers, like Kitne Aadmi The, you know. So how is it that they become memorable? How is it that you remember? Because it's the way things are told is equally important as what is being told. So there are two kinds of power. One is the power of substance and other is the power of the form. And these are ultimately inseparable, and you require both to create a memorable story. You require both to be able to influence memory of the audience or the customer. We went to talk on to talk about now why would stories matter in business, and several wonderful ideas came from the audience's side. And to sum them up, we could talk about that stories help to engage the stakeholder in terms of a very fundamental need. What's in it there for me? Human existence is a very selfish existence, and ultimately our socialization teaches us to adjust with one another. But fundamentally, at the heart of it all, everyone looks for, why should I do something? What would I gain out of it? If I gain something out of it, then my family will gain something out of it. It's about me. So first is how you engage the stakeholder in terms of giving them the understanding or the story of what's in it there for you, right? What's in it there for me? Then secondly, just as let's go back to the story of, how did Gabbar happen? How did Amitabh Bachchan come into existence? Where did they come from? Say Star Wars, why did this whole conflict happen? There's always a background to a story. So when you talk to stakeholders about what's in it there for you, you have to communicate how the business has been doing. On the basis of that, you're able to say that this is what we are going to do. What it has been doing, what is it doing now, and where is it going to go? So a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? And everything starts with a message, and it's the power of the idea that is conveyed through a narrative that is going to create the element of trust and conviction. Not just a text, not just empty narration, but understanding what you need, understanding how you need it, and how we can deliver that. So in a way, when we talk about business storytelling, we are actually talking about creating designed experiences. What does that mean? It means creating experiences that are worth coming back to. Okay? So it's not just about the features that we are going to give, whether it is a product or a service, whether it is a kind of an experience. It's not about the features. It's not about how many or how many less you give. It's about what was your goal in trying to create this experience. What is the goal? What is the product goal? What is the service goal? Where do you want to touch the customer? Right? And let me use an example of PepsiCo CEO Indra Nooyi advised the the marketing research team and the product managers to go to the market and look for such stories in terms of that. Don't go out and look for whether my product is getting rightly showcased or not, whether retailers have done justice or not. Go to the market as if how you shop for your family. What are you looking for your family? So when you look for your family, are you going to buy a Pepsi product, PepsiCo product or not? Right? So this is good for my family or not good for my family. Does that meet is the engagement aspirational or not? So these are some of the things. The PepsiCo team found out that in China, women and men have a very different way of having chips. Like, for instance, a bag of Doritos. Men typically would open the packet and would shove chips into their mouth and not worry about. In fact, while I was taking a instant survey, several men said, while wipe the hand on your jeans or your trousers at the back of the chair or your friend's shirt collar. And women said that, no, we want tissues, I'll go wash my hand and stuff like that. And in addition, they found out that while in the office, women often didn't like making a lot of noise while having those chips, and men didn't really care for whether they were making a noise or not. And this experience was useful in designing the product. Doritos came in as stacked chips in a packet, particularly for women, so that they could put it in the drawer right beside their table, and they could pick one chips at a time and put it in their mouth and have them. So there's a whole question of designed experience which is working, how the story has been reworked. It's no longer the story of the chips or the Doritos. It's about how you want your chips or Doritos, right? So it's a goal. It's not just the features. Stacked chips is just the feature. But what was the goal? That I'm going to give you something that will give you the comfort and the enjoyment which you can't get elsewhere. So it's a whole interaction design. It's a way of creating engagement with the stakeholder which defines what's in it there for you. So in a way, all good stories are about having intimate connection with the idea and the protagonist. And in this, I will sort of sum up by talking about the 4D. First of all, discover what does the audience want, which is the particular milieu that you are engaging with. Design the experience, prototype or develop it, and then deploy. Now, the 4D cycle requires an intimate understanding of empathy, first of all, not just how to do it, but why should we do it the way we should do it, right? So this is a very unique course. I think not many courses are there about communication and interaction design, understanding the story behind customer need, understanding the story of reaching out to an audience. And we are going to deal with customers in the digital age. We are going to deal with where does it take us, and what's the kind of stories businesses are going to use in future, and what are the kind of stories that are gaining ground now. From FORE, this is a very unique effort, I think, and this kind of an interaction will gain us much foothold in what businesses expect and what we as consumers expect from business. And this kind of an interaction will give a deeper perception of not only understanding business, but I think in a very unique way, how we think in a particular age, how it is changing our view of the world. Thank you.